everyone! I'm filming this just over a week before it's going to go live, and in 2 days' time it's going to be my friend Kirstie's birthday, and it's a very special birthday and I would like to mark it, but I can't go anywhere because of lockdown. Kirstie suggested that we might want to ask each other some random questions and film the answers and send them to each other, and I thought that sounds like an idea for my YouTube channel. Thankfully Kirstie agreed and we decided let's do 40 questions for Kirstie's 40th. So I've written 20 completely random questions, some deep and meaningful, some very much not. And she's written 20 questions for me. We're going to ask each other the questions and answer them. That's how questions work. I bet you're glad I explained that to you. So I'm going to call her over Skype. Let's do this. Hello!
Hello.
Are you excited for your lockdown birthday?
Part of me is like, this isn't how I imagine my big 4-0.
Well, we're going to have some exciting questions. And I thought, seeing as you're the birthday girl, you can start.
Number 1, what are your top 3 favourite films of all time?
I'm going to do it reverse order for drama. Number 3 has got to be Breakfast at Tiffany's, because my idol is Audrey Hepburn. I adore her. Number 2, I'm going to say Sister Act. Me and my sister used to tape the songs onto cassette and sing the songs. I Wanted to Be Mary Robert. And number 1 has to be Beaches. I cannot watch that film without bawling my eyes out, but I love it. What moment from your life so far would you like to go back and relive again if you had the chance?
Honestly, might be seen as a bit sad, but I'd honestly just want to go back and see the Manics again.
Especially considering lockdown, gigs are like a thing of the past.
And it seems so distant.
It really does.
So, your top 3 favourite albums of all time?
I'm going to just say the third one is going to change depending on my mood. One day it's going to be something really rocky, and then the next day it's going to be something poppy. Right now, as I'm sat here, either Parklife by Blur or The Great Escape by Blur. Second place, Everything Must Go by the Manics. And number 1, The Holy Bible by the Manics.
Cool.
Would you rather have corn on the cob for feet or Cadbury fingers instead of actual fingers?
I'd say corn on the cob for feet, because I think that would be easier in your general life than having Cadbury's cream eggs for fingers.
Yeah, Cadbury fingers.
Because, you might pick up a cup of tea and, break a few fingers as you're trying to pick the cup up.
Then you'd want to dip a finger in and eat it.
I think maybe you could adapt to corn on the cob feet.
Yeah, the only thing you'd have to do is avoid heat, because then you'd end up with popcorn.
Your top 3 favourite bands of all time?
And see, why is the third one always the hardest?
It is.
Third would probably be something really cliche, like the Beatles. Much like the last question, in second place, Blur, and in the first place, it's got to be the Manics. They have my heart. The Manic Street Preachers, if you are not aware, are why this channel is called Mrs. Manics, because when I was 16, I was married to them. What, in your opinion, makes a person a hero?
I'm going to go for compassion. It's not rated highly enough by most people, and for me, an act of compassion can be an act of heroism. Favourite food? They're not all top 3s, by the way.
That's really hard because I'm incredibly greedy and I like most foods. I'd say in third place probably, and this is very British, fish and chips. In second place, I want to say just chocolate, but I feel like that's a treat. I feel like I can't say that's a proper food stuff. I mean, it is a food stuff, obviously. Second, I would say Indian food. I love bhajis. I love a korma. I don't like anything massively spicy because I've got a delicate little tummy. Not so little, but delicate. Number 1, I'm sorry to all the vegetarians out there, of which you're one, so I apologise. A really nice steak. If you were going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records, what would your record be?
This is not real me, but I think it'd be really cool to be in the Guinness Book of World Records for something like having the biggest vocal range or something like that. That would be I'd be really proud of that. That would be awesome. But in real life, I think I could be in the Guinness Book of Records for a person that can fall asleep the quickest or can fall asleep in the most weird places. Because I'm one of those weird people that could just like fall asleep anywhere.
I'm so jealous of that.
That is a skill.
Name one of your heroes and a reason why they're one of your heroes.
Audrey Hepburn is, in every single way possible, my 1,000,000,000% idol. I know you shouldn't worship people you've never met, but I do. I absolutely adore her. A lot of people admire Audrey Hepburn because she was a very talented actress and dancer. She was a style icon. She was, in my opinion, probably the most stunningly beautiful woman who's ever lived. But for me, it was who she was inside. Audrey had fame and notoriety, but then when she was sort of getting to a point where she was able to retire and just enjoy her life, she literally spent the last 5 years or so of her life travelling to the poorest parts of the world and raising awareness, raising money, and being an ambassador for UNICEF. And she put all of her energy into using the fame that she had to help other people, and she did it like way before it was cool. I live my life thinking I would love to be like a tenth the person that I believe she was. Audrey is my idol. If you had to spend the rest of your life with only one person, but it had to be a celebrity, living or dead, who would it be?
I think it would probably be David Bowie.
That's what I thought she'd say.
Just because, other than being amazing in terms of making music and not necessarily being an amazing musician or player of music, but he knew what he wanted in terms of sound and the rest of it. But as a person, he had an amazing brain. He was able to like think deeply and read all this really deep and meaningful stuff and ask questions about life and the universe. But then he could also take the mick out of himself as well and just like be really funny. He had a really amazing sense of humour as well. And I could just like listen to him sing all the time because I loved his voice. And his voice was like underrated, I think. I could just listen to it all day. So I think in that sense he could be amazing to be around. You could discuss, you could debate like karma with him, or you could make a song, or you could tell jokes, or he was just, I just think he was amazing. What would be your fantasy job?
This is a corny as hell answer, but I think I'm doing it. Leslie and I started a business, and having a partnership with someone you're that close to is a gorgeous thing. And doing something creative, doing something like that involves video, which I love. So basically my dream job would be if Little Bird Creative was hugely successful and Leslie and I could buy a mansion. My dream is what I'm doing, I think. If reincarnation exists, what would you like to come back as?
I would come back as a dog that was loved. I think often humans overcomplicate their lives. If a dog is loved and well looked after and understood, I think they have such simple lives. And I don't mean it in a derogatory way, I just mean they don't have the complications that we have. One of my questions is that, so I'm going to have to skip on it.
I have always said if I could come back as anything, it would be a really pampered pooch. Who wouldn't want to like go out for a nice walkie, have lots of food, sleep a lot, and get lots of affection? Would you rather trim Boris Johnson's toenails or clean the wax out of Donald Trump's ears? I'm so mean.
Clip Boris Johnson's toenails, I think, just because he's slightly lesser of two evils. You know what I mean? I mean, I think he's a word that I don't want to say on this vlog, and also toenails slightly less gross. Maybe I'm hoping he looks after his feet, being fairly rich. Okay, so this is a bit like 15-year-old me. What your top 3 celebrity crushes?
Do you know something? I genuinely don't really have them anymore. I would say number 3, because I've recently watched Bridgerton, is Reggae John, and I can't remember his surname, but the guy who plays the Duke.
He is lovely.
Number 2, because he's my musical hero, is James Dean Bradfield. And number 1, because I love her, is Rachel Bloom. She's just so funny and clever. This makes me sound really knobby, but if I have a crush on someone, it's not because of their looks. It has got to be a little bit more than that. So yeah, Rachel Bloom is very intelligent. She's very talented. She can sing. She can write songs. She's very funny, and also she's very cute. If you were a breed of dog, what dog would you be?
I think probably I would be a Heinz 57. Because they are healthier generally. I'm not sure. I think that's the main reason why. Although I love sighthounds, I think I'd worry. I wouldn't want to be a whippet because I'd be scared that I'd get injured all the time, because they do get injured quite a bit.
You have a sighthound, don't you?
Yes. Where is your happy place?
I'm going to say something really, really soppy, and if she's watching this, she's going to cringe inside out, but just with Leslie. I say that to her, like, my happy place is wherever we're together doing something, because I feel like I can be myself and I'm just happy. The only other thing I would say is my happy place is the barrier at a Mannix gig.
Oh.
Obs with your good self, with like arms in the air, and the moment during Design for Life when the confetti cannons go off. You know that moment where we sort of look at each other and go, this is the best band in the world? That's my other happy place.
Be one of mine as well.
If you had to live inside a TV show or movie, which one would you choose and why?
It's difficult because a lot of my favourite TV shows are like, I wouldn't really want to live in them. You know, I like crime dramas. I don't really want to be like dealing with murders and stuff. And like the X-Files, I mean, I'm terrified of being abducted by aliens. It used to be one of my phobias when I was a kid. You know, and like Buffy, I don't really want to get turned into a vampire and have to fight demons. I think it would be cool to live in a program where I could time travel.
Yeah.
Even though you're the Doctor Who fan, I think maybe Doctor Who would be the really cool one to live inside, because then you could get in the TARDIS and I could go back to like see David Bowie in the 70s or something, or do something amazing like that. What do you miss most about normal life right now?
Because I'm greedy. One of the things I really miss is going out to eat. Going out to eat is one of my favourite things, but also having the option to do stuff and hugging. If you could only smell one smell for the rest of your life, what would that smell be?
On the one hand, I could say something perfumey like lavender or Parma violets.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, this is really soppy, I love the way Indy smells. And this is a bit deep, like if he wasn't around anymore, I think it'd be really sad if I forgot how he smelled. Depending on what mood I was in, it would be one of those. If COVID-19 was over and you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
But your house.
Yes, oh, I'd love that too.
Because Lel's my bubble, so I can already go and see her when I'm allowed to go and see a bubble. But I've not seen you in ages. If heaven exists, what do you think it's like?
I don't think it exists, but if it did exist, what I want it to be is everybody that you love that has passed is like there waiting for you. I don't know what you spend your time doing, because I do think deeply about it and think, well, wouldn't you get bored after a while? What are you going to be doing just walking on white fluffy clouds and chatting to your mum? And you get bored after a while, be like, I'm fed up with you, mum, I'm just going to go on this cloud over here, and it just be a bit, you know, a bit monotonous. But I think that would be the most important thing that I'd want it to be. What are your top 3 favourite books of all time?
Basically, there are 2 children's books in my top 3, which maybe says a lot about my psyche. Number 3 would be The Worst Witch by Jill Murphy, because Mildred Hubble was such an important character to me. I used to draw a character that I referred to as Molly Mischief when I was about 7 or 8. I used to draw pictures of this girl, and she was very heavily modelled on Mildred Hubble, and I used to write stories about her. And so that's like where my love of wanting to write, I think, came from, that book. Number 2 would probably be Roddy Doyle's The Woman Who Walked Into Doors, which it sounds depressing as hell, but it's about a woman who gets into a relationship with this guy and he becomes very abusive, and it's about how she, like at the start, she's like carried away with it and she thinks he's amazing, and then it sort of gets darker and darker and darker until, spoiler, she kicks him out. When I read that, I was about 19, and it was the first time I'd read something that dealt with a subject like that, and really honestly, yeah, it had a really profound effect on me. My number one would be Susan Coolidge's What Katie Did.
Oh, I love that.
I absolutely love that book. It's about a very mischievous girl, and she falls off a swing and has a terrible accident, and then she becomes this very humble, very quiet, very well behaved person. And when I read it for the very first time, I was quite young, and I was like, oh, she's boring at the end. But actually, I've read it a lot of times. I've gone sort of back. She learns a lot, and I think it's a really important sort of coming of age story in a way. It's really powerful. I really like that book.
Good choice.
What food that most people would find gross do you find delicious?
Well, I really like sauerkraut.
Ooh.
And I know a lot of people don't like it. We got this organic sauerkraut from like a local farm that we get all our veg from. And it smells, this is a bit TMI, but it smells like Indy's had an accident. But if you can ignore that, I love it. It's lovely, and it's good for you as well. So it's like bonus. What is your favourite piece of art?
I am going to go with a piece of art that isn't particularly famous, which is the artwork on my wall. Can you see that pink picture? I've mentioned this on the channel before, actually. That was painted by Andrew Ridgeley from Wham's mum, Jenny. I love that painting, not only because I love the person who painted it, but because to me it's really restful and it's incredibly atmospheric. I just think it's really pretty, and I think wherever I sort of travel to in life, I will have that on my wall. What one object could you not live without?
That's really difficult, actually. My phone, because I have my life on my phone, and also because I run my own business. It's so important. There's no way I could lose it. I left the house once without my phone, and I was so panicky. It was horrible. It's like, oh my god, it's not there. It's like a safety net, isn't it? What's your favourite childhood memory?
Probably my favourite childhood memory is of going on holiday to Pontins when I was a kid with my mum and my dad and my sister, because we were all together and I just remember feeling really carefree. And we used to go on holiday to the Lake District as well, and that was amazing. But there's something about being a kid and going to a holiday park. I just remember it feeling like the most exciting thing in the world to go there. If you could swap faces with any celebrity living or dead, who would you swap faces with?
Maybe Marilyn Monroe. She just had just a real natural beauty. When you see pictures of her when she's like done up, she looks amazing. And then I found some photos of her where she had like no makeup on and she still looked amazing. So what book are you reading at the moment?
Ooh, I am reading Let's Do It, the biography of Victoria Wood. Victoria Wood is one of my comedy idols. Would you rather have to sing every word you ever speak or dance every step you ever take?
Definitely sing every word I ever speak. In fact, I have these random thoughts about wouldn't it be funny if sort of thing. And the other day I was thinking to myself, how it'd be funny if you were in something a bit like Buffy the Musical and you just were walking along and like every time you had a thought you'd like sing it. You know, if I was walking some dogs, I had to pick up some dog poo, I'd like sing a song about how stinky and gross it was or something. I think that would be so much fun just to do that for a day. So if you won the lottery and never had to work again, how would you spend your time?
I think I'd probably still make YouTube videos because I would want some sort of creative outlet. I'd buy a massive mansion that Leslie and I could live in, and we would get a lot of cats and a lot of dogs. I'd spend a lot of my time travelling to good restaurants and also regularly going and seeing musicals, because in this world where I'm a lottery winner, also there's no Kovid. I'd like to get good at crafts, so if I didn't have to work ever again, I would paint and I would crochet, and I bought Leslie a mini potter's wheel and she's been making loads of little pots. If I was a millionaire and we had a mansion, I'd buy her a big one, but I'd probably buy two so she could be doing good pots because she's getting quite good at them, and I would just be ruining things on my own. and then clay flying across the room. But we'd definitely, if I had the money and we had a mansion, we'd definitely have like a really big craft room. And I'd spend a lot of my time just doing craft. What is the best impression you can do?
Well, I haven't done any impressions for a long time, but I used to do a Kenneth Williams. Oh, Rachel. This is a random question. Cars or guitars?
Guitars. I did used to be kind of into cars, but I prefer guitars even though I can't actually play one. Who would play you in the movie of your life?
In a weird way, I almost think I'd like it to be Sarah Michelle Gellar. If she's good at doing a Devonian accent, that would be quite cool. Name something that has unexpectedly helped you through this pandemic.
I think the thing that has been unexpectedly lovely is that there are people in my road that I will talk to now that I never said hello to because we just never had cause to particularly see each other. It's strange how you can live on the same road for like 20 years. But there's people that you just don't know. And you don't expect a pandemic where you're supposed to avoid people to bring you closer to people. But actually in some ways it has. And that's really nice. If you had to join the circus, what would your skill be?
Well, this isn't a real skill, but I do quite like the idea of like people that do trapeze. Not where they do the balancing because I'm terrified of heights. But the ones where they like swing round stuff. I suppose they're still on heights, but they sort of swing and they do acrobatics and stuff like that. I always think that always looks really cool. Name a skill that you'd love to master in your lifetime.
Probably because it's something I've started, but I'm not good at it. I would like to get good at crochet. I've made 2 scarves. I have a baby nephew and I would like to crochet him little toys. Leslie tried to teach me how you go round in a circle, which is how you start all these toys. Could I get it? No. I literally was doing this and trying to, and she had made this beautiful circle and I'm like, I don't understand. I'd like to sort of be able to crochet something other than a straight line.
It's a good start though.
If you could travel back to any point in time, where would you travel to and why?
I'll probably change my mind, but it would definitely be a gig, and it would probably be the last gig that David Bowie did as Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That last gig that he did, that last night, I would love to have been there. Just that final night, because it was such a moment in history. It would be a gig, and it'd be the last one, and it'd be like he was going to go away and come back again, and after that he'd take on a different persona. So I think that would be one. Favourite item of clothing and why?
I'm going to go with my gut and say something that I'm probably not expecting to say. I think that my favourite item of clothing that I own is my More Harmony jacket, because it isn't like my favourite thing to wear. Like I wouldn't sort of pick it off a rack and be like, today I'm going to wear this. But when I wear it and I'm with the rest of the chorus and we're all in our jackets and our little scarves and our chorus uniform, I feel like, yes, this is my tribe and we're going to go out and we're going to make the most amazing noise now. And it is such an important, massive part of my life that that jacket stands for so much more than just a piece of clothing. So I think that is my favourite item of clothing. I've gone deep for the last one.
Okay.
If you could leave one piece of wisdom to last long after you're gone, what would that piece of wisdom be?
That is really hard, because I don't consider myself to really have any wisdom, to be fair.
Oh, you do.
I mean, I think if there's a quote that I really like, that I think is important, it would just be like, be kind always. Just putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and just being compassionate and being kind. I think we underestimate that, which probably goes back to like one of the early questions.
Well, I think we've all learnt a few things there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head if you'd like to subscribe, and somewhere last week's video is going to appear. Feel free to wish Kirstie a very happy birthday in the comments, and I will see you next Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye!